0864. Station's your final time cue will be with 15 seconds until airtime. Mark, 15 seconds until airtime.
The following is a presentation of Learfield. Welcome to Duck Insider.
Our whole athletic department, there's a level of expectations of success.
Throw, catch, touchdown, Oregon.
He can run and slam.
This is back out for a three. Left wing is good.
In the air to center, back at the wall. It's out of here.
Really excited that we get to rep our Ducks and hopefully come back to Eugene with some championships.
Indoor track and field national champion.
Oregon repeats as the Pac-12 champion.
And for the fourth time in the last 6 years, the Ducks are Pac-12 champions.
We have so many teams that are excelling right now, and it's really fun to be a part of.
This is Duck Insider on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield, presented by On Point Community Credit Union. Better banking, local solutions. Live from the Country Financial Studio, here's Joey Mack.
You know, sometimes a Monday just really is a Monday. Case of the Mondays is something that I usually do not feel because Oregon tends to win a lot of games on the weekend, which means that the Monday show, and everybody I think in radio will tell you, the Monday show is the easiest to do in all of sports broadcasting because you've got Friday evening, you've got Saturday, you've got Sunday, and you've got Monday morning to talk about. There's just so much going on. It's like, man, yeah, this is great. And we do have some good news on the show today, but it's a case of the Mondays, one, because it didn't go well for Oregon down at Stanford. We're going to talk about that. And it also didn't go well for Oregon down at Stanford. 2 Oregon teams lost at Stanford this past weekend, unfortunately. We're going to talk about that. Oregon volleyball with a split on their road trip. We've got that information for you coming up. Matt Ulmer is going to join us on the show. Graeme Abel, Oregon soccer head coach, will be with us on the program as well. And, yeah, when you work in this industry and you're in social media and you're in broadcasting, well, things like Facebook and Instagram tend to matter. And, well, they're not working today. That's why we stream the show on YouTube. That's why we stream the show on Twitter. That's why we have the show on all of our radio affiliates across the Oregon Sports Network. GoDucks.com/OSN, GoDucks.com/DuckInsider for where you can tune in. But it is truly a case of the Mondays. So Oregon on the road at Stanford. We're going to talk about it. We're going to digest it. We're going to learn from it as the Ducks head into their bye week now before playing Cal on Friday evening next week. So it's a little bit of a shorter bye than normal, because the Ducks will be now starting preparation for Cal at the end of this bye week. We're going to hear from Mario Cristobal later on in the week. Some of his comments, though, and takeaways immediately following the Stanford game. We have that because the Ducks were really shorthanded. Really shorthanded. And it's not unusual that you lose a couple athletes heading into a game, right? Things happen in practice. Things happen during a game that removes guys from play. The Ducks had all of that going on. What's a little more rare is when you have a coach who is under the weather. Joe Moorhead was evaluated for a non-COVID-related medical issue prior to the game, which meant that Jim Mastro called plays for the Ducks. And without Coach Moorhead, I think that obviously things were a little bit different, weren't they, for the Ducks? And then talking about the players, no Bennett Williams, no Alex Forsythe in this game. And already you didn't have Justin Flo, you didn't have Drew Mathis, you didn't have Adrian Jackson. Then Triquez Bridges gets called for targeting on the opening kickoff, and I'm going to defer to the masses here. Let me know. I can't say in the Facebook comments today because Facebook is down, but I can say in the YouTube comments or in the Twitter comments, or if you want to email me after you hear this on one of our OSN affiliates later on today, I still have not actually seen the play because in real time, I was at the other end of the field on the sideline. Jerry and Jorgie didn't have a replay of it in their booth, so I can't defer to what Jerry and Jorgie saw. And then they never really showed a great angle on the scoreboards at Stanford. So Scott Phillips, who was watching the game, I don't know. I don't even have a comment on that particular targeting call.
Yeah, I don't think that's
okay. That's all that we need to say on that front. Scott Phillips, ladies and gentlemen, thank you. So it was just kind of a moment at the beginning of the game, right? Well, Stanford drove. You knew that it was going to be a tough one as the Ducks got down 10-0, but like I said, shorthanded. Then they were able to get it going a little bit, the Ducks were. They ran the ball well. C.J. Verdell started to get it going. More on that in a second. I do want to say, though, we talk about the injuries and the Ducks being shorthanded. Brutal injury to Bryson Tremaine. Those are the worst. Injuries are the worst part of sports, and I just hope that Bryson Tremaine here's to a quick recovery for that Stanford pass catcher, because you never want to see those. Never want to see those. The Ducks, though, did have a shot after their defense got off the field with about 4 minutes left. Travis Dye fumbled, but it was overturned, which was positive for the Ducks. They finally seemed to catch a break. They got stopped, though, at the end of the first half, and this is when I think you go, boy, you didn't know at the time how big that was going to end up being. But the Ducks went for it on a 4th down at the goal line. Got stopped on perhaps an ill-advised keep by Anthony Brown. As Coach Cristobal said when we were talking as he came off the field, he said, if we execute the play like it was called, it's a walk-in touchdown. So the Ducks missed on that one. They knew that. And it did prove really costly as the game moved forward. The Ducks, though, had to score some points as they were trailing by 10. And ultimately they did. C.J. Verdell, again, he's the one that got things going. But then he got hurt in the red zone after the next drive for the Ducks when Oregon was within 3. And a penalty, I should say, moved the Ducks back. Ended up getting 3. Would have loved to get 7, and it was 17-17. And C.J. Verdell, though, carted off, and you'll hear more from Coach Cristobal on his injury coming up in a moment. Then Noah Sewell gets banged up on the next Stanford possession. Now, he came back in. But I got to tell you, when Noah Sewell went down, I immediately just went, like my head just dropped. It was like, when is Oregon going to catch a break? They're being held together by duct tape at this point. And it was just wild. The way that Oregon still battled throughout that game. Could they have played better? Absolutely. Did they have to fully embrace the next duck up mentality? 100% they did. But Oregon was able to get their first lead up 24-17, and it felt like the Ducks had finally gotten to the point where they could put the Cardinal away. The rushing attack really wore the Cardinal down and the clock. But the Ducks, I think this might have been the most critical portion of the game, had 2 false starts that really stalled their drive, and that hurt with about 2 minutes left. They had 2 false starts with just over 2 minutes left in the game. And if they get a first down there, Stanford's using timeouts, probably ends it, right? Well, 2 false starts, thanks to Oregon fans, had me feeling pretty good, though, after Stanford got the ball back. But let me reset. So the Ducks have those false starts, and that, to me, was like, okay, defense is playing well. Defense is going to be back on the field, because the defense was absolutely dominant in the third quarter. Stanford had, if memory serves, 16 yards of total offense in the third quarter. Duck defense was playing great. And then on that final drive, we're going to go through it, things got tough. So Stanford got the ball back down 7 with 1:59 left. 2 false starts, and again, thanks to the Oregon fans who were absolutely great all day. I have to say this, just quick aside. I mean, on our radio broadcast, I turned my mic on at one point, and so behind the radio curtain for you a little bit here, I can say things into Jerry and Jorgie's ears that none of you hear. So a lot of times I'll turn my mic on, and if it's really loud, Jerry hears that in his headset. There was one time I turned my mic on to say something to Jerry, and it was so loud, he just went, "Wow, I can hear the Duck fans down there, Joey." And it was like that. It was truly a home atmosphere for the Ducks at certain times. And Stanford was feeling it. You could tell with the amount of Duck fans that were there. Awesome experience. So Duck fans, well done. Good work. But after those 2 false starts, they got a huge pass play. Stanford did to move the chains. Next play, Tanner McKee got clocked on a pass attempt. Looked to me like a player came in kind of with like, it would have been a foul in basketball. The arms weren't straight up. The arms were leaning over a little bit. But it looked like arms to me. And after reviewing it, even though there was no flag on the field, Kayvon Thibodeau got ejected for targeting. And that means that, by the way, he's also out for the first half of the Cal game coming up next Friday. Yikes. Then Brandon Dorlus got called for roughing the passer after that. Yikes. Then it sure looked like, at least from my vantage point, this is just my opinion, it looked like there was a false start, illegal motion, something, as the entire Duck defense was pointing, and the officials didn't call that. Stanford just kept moving the ball. Credit the Cardinal, but they were aided by some penalties in that regard. Say what you will about if they were penalties or not. I'll leave that up to you. But there's no doubt that the penalties aided the effort on the drive. Stanford just kept moving the ball and got it to a 4th and goal. Mikael Wright, who had been, I thought, playing physical all game long with Stanford's pass catchers, got called for holding. Led to an untimed play from the 2-yard line. Caught for a touchdown in the left corner of the end zone. And I think everybody who was on the Oregon sideline just went, ugh. But credit to the coaches because they didn't do that, actually. And I was looking for that. So I was looking like, okay, what's the reaction of the sideline from my vantage point? Coach was like, all right, bring it in. We got this. Figure it out. So the Cardinal had 16 yards of total offense before that drive started. I mean, that was huge. It was a huge shift in momentum. So to overtime. Stanford scored on the first drive. Ducks were back at it, had to answer. Targeting was called on the field then during this overtime period on a Stanford player. And that one was reviewed and removed. And then the Ducks lost the game after not being able to convert. And it was seriously, it just felt like multiple breaks. Right, wrong, otherwise, whatever. Just didn't go Oregon's way. Now, all that being said, there were opportunities for the Ducks to win the game much earlier than the final minute 59. Could have scored and gotten 7 if they had executed the play at the end of the first half. Couple false starts, couple penalties. They shoot themselves in the foot with just over 2 minutes to play. May have never given the ball back to Stanford. All in all, a game where Oregon could not overcome its mistakes and then could not overcome some penalties. Is this a devastating loss for Oregon's season? I don't think so. You're on the road. You didn't have a ton of starters. You didn't have your offensive coordinator. And I think that the way that the pollsters viewed this, Oregon is still a top 10 team, even though Ohio State's one spot ahead of them in the AP poll. I don't understand that one. But Oregon is still a top 10 team now, and I think still has a Pac-12 championship attainable in the Ducks' future. And now with a bye week, they get a chance to heal up. I think that's going to be a focus, and they can work on fixing some of those mistakes that did put them in that situation where Stanford had hung around in the game, and Oregon was never quite able to put them away. And then credit to the Cardinal, because the Cardinal made plays when they had to. I never like playing the recap after we lose, but I guess we can listen to Jerry and Jorgie call it.
Brown. Snap. Going to keep it. Try to get outside to the left. Will go into the end zone. What great blocking. 4th and goal from the 1. Brown. Snap. Keeps. Goes up the middle. Not going to even come close. Not even close. Snap. Give it to Verdell. Touchdown, Oregon. Why wouldn't you give it to him every time? Back to throw. Pressure. Gets it off. First down and more. Pittman down the sideline of the 50 with a blocker at the 30, with a blocker at the 20, inside the 15 to the 14-yard line. Micah Pittman. Motion is slide sweep. No, it's a keep by Brown. He's going to try to get it outside of the 5 to the 3 and walks it in. Anthony Brown ready for the snap. Got it. Back to throw. Throws the shot to the 5. Touchdown, Stanford. 3-man rush. Brown rolling right. Looking. Throws. Incomplete, out of bounds. Game over. Final score, Stanford 31, Oregon 24.
Stings, but I'm glad that Scott Phillips, who puts those together for us, put that big Micah Pittman play in there, because after Micah made that great play, I think that when I saw that he was the target there at the end of the game, I was like, oh, man, this could be big. This could be big. You know, Micah did perform well in that game, and a tough spot for the Ducks to be in. As Coach Cristobal said, first thing that he said to me after the game, I talked with him right before the media did on the postgame radio show that many of you maybe heard, and he just said, look, we couldn't overcome our own mistakes. And that, I think, is going to be the theme and the takeaway from this game. Ducks also did not force any takeaways defensively. We talked a lot about that as they were leading the nation in takeaways heading into the contest. Didn't do that. And I think that certainly made a difference in this game, because Anthony Brown did throw his first interception, first turnover in the passing game. So it was just a lot of those things where the Ducks couldn't overcome their own mistakes. And in previous games, some of those takeaways maybe did help them overcome some of their own mistakes. It's really, really tough to play a perfect game from start to finish, especially when you're playing against another really good team like Stanford. But I think those are going to be some of your takeaways now heading into the bye week for the Ducks. A shout-out also to Nahi Alkalani. I thought he was outstanding in this game. I thought Travis Dye made some really excellent cuts, and the Ducks did have guys step up because they were banged up. They needed them to step up. We're going to hear from Coach Cristobal coming up in just a little while. Also, Graeme Abel, Oregon soccer head coach, here on the horizon. Now, though, I want to turn our attention away from football for a moment to remember a friend of ours in the broadcast industry. Longtime KVAL news anchor David Walker passed away earlier this morning after a battle with an illness. Duck fans heard his voice filling in on some of our women's basketball broadcasts in recent years. And from OSN's own and the voice of women's basketball, Terry Johns, I am devastated by Dave's passing. I've known Dave since 1984 while he and I were broadcasting high school sports. We called many, many high school basketball tournaments together. We roomed together and shared countless meals and great conversations. Dave was one of my dearest friends, one of the kindest people you'll ever meet. All of us who knew him well have heavy hearts right now. The world lost a gem. That's Terry Johns on David Walker. Jerry Allen also added, quote, I am heartbroken. A great friend and a wonderful man. He touched so many lives, including mine, in such a professional and compassionate way. The consummate teacher of new young broadcasters. Dave leaves a great legacy. Prayers and love to Dave's family. That's Jerry Allen on David Walker. On a personal note from me, he was one of the kindest and most genuine men I've had the pleasure of knowing, and our thoughts and prayers go out to the Walker family. David Walker was 67 years old. More coming up on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Dear Exit Strategy. No matter which Toyota you choose, there's an exit from the ordinary to match. See you soon, Toyota. Visit your local Toyota dealer or Toyota.com today. Toyota. Let's go places.
From the weight room to the classroom, on the field and off it, On Point proudly supports University of Oregon athletics because student athletes do so much more than bring us pride on game day. They bring our entire community together in Eugene and all across Oregon. So whether you're watching the game in the stadium, at home, or at your favorite local business, their success makes all of us stronger. On Point Community Credit Union. Join in. OnPointCU.com. Federally insured by NCUA. Equal housing opportunity.
Dear Exit Strategy. No matter which Toyota you choose, there's an exit from the ordinary to match. See you soon, Toyota. Visit your local Toyota dealer or Toyota.com today. Toyota. Let's go places.
Your daily dose of Oregon athletics. This is Duck Insider from Learfield.
Watch out! You got me!
The galaxy is safe once again.
In the pretend universe, kids play with pretend guns. In the real world, it's up to us to make sure they don't get their hands on a real gun. If you have a gun in the house, keep it locked, unloaded, and stored separately from ammunition. Safe gun storage saves lives. Learn how to make your home safer at endfamilyfire.org. That's endfamilyfire.org. Brought to you by End Family Fire, Brady, and the Ad Council.
Uh-oh, Brad's buzzed.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, he's starting with the woots. And now a speech.
I just want to say that friendship is about heart and brain. Who's with me?
Good thing is, he knows when he's buzzed.
And my brain is saying, when it's time to go home, somebody call me a ride.
Love that guy.
Me too.
Know your buzzed warning signs? Call for a ride when it's time to go home. Buzz driving is drunk driving. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Yep, it's a Monday. It's Duck Insider presented by On Point Community Credit Union. Joey Mack in the Country Financial Studio. This week on the Oregon Football Coaches Show, I want to remind you it might be a bye week, but players are still in class. Players are still practicing. We're going to talk with Tony Washington, former Duck, Director of Player Development now for Oregon. Pretty exciting for Oregon football. Tony Washington will be our guest on the Oregon Football Coaches Show coming up. And speaking of coaches, normally on a Monday, if it was a regular game week, we'd hear from Coach Cristobal. But because it's a bye week, Coach is not meeting with the media until a little later in the week as the Ducks are getting some, well, frankly, deserved time off and time to heal up a little bit. So some of Coach's comments, the greatest hits, if you will, from his post-game press conference against the Cardinal. Want to let you listen in as the Ducks now try to turn the corner into this bye week and then get back on the winning side of things when they face Cal next Friday. Here's Coach Cristobal.
It's a tough one. Did not get the result we wanted. That's bright moments, but certainly not enough to overcome some of our mistakes. Certainly, appreciate and proud of the way we played with toughness and with effort, but we didn't play with enough discipline today. We didn't coach with enough discipline today. And in the end, it ends up costing us the game. So that being said, questions.
Mario, your perspective on the final drive of regulation for them, just the targeting on KT, roughing the passer on Dorless, and the defensive hold there, obviously on the final timed play of regulation. Just your assessment of just how your team was handling those moments, and obviously some tough penalties against you guys.
I have to see it on film. Interesting to say the least. The personal fouls, I got to see them. Obviously, if we're getting flagged for, we're not being disciplined enough coming after the quarterback. I did not see exactly how it happened, but I'll have to watch it on film and assess it. I know we got hit several times and got tangled up a bunch, never got a flag, but it is what it is.
Mario, those offensive false starts back-to-back, third down conversions have been proven pretty costly. This team hasn't consistently played well for 4 quarters. What do you attribute to that, execution-wise?
Well, we came back strong. We came back strong in the second half, and we were 1 first down away from taking the air out of the ball. And we got 2 successive false starts, put us in long down into some situations, and then pin them at the 10, didn't get it done. So I don't know what to tell you, except there's no excuse. Got to get it done.
Mario, I guess I'm curious, just the way that played out at the end offensively, would you in retrospect maybe have not thrown the ball on second down, or is that just kind of the way it goes?
We got a good red zone plan. Thought there were some things that we could take advantage of. Thought we had a pretty good mix of run and pass as to what they were playing. They were mixing up what they were doing as well. I think hindsight, might be easy to say, but overall, I thought that the plan that we went out and attempted to execute was the right plan.
What is CJ's status, and how are you planning on overcoming his absence in the game he may miss?
CJ has hurt, and I'm not sure how long it's going to be. It seems like it's a pretty significant injury, but I don't know.
Mario, just obviously you're coming into the game without a couple of guys too, between Alex going through early warm-ups, Bennett not here, Joe Moorhead being ill, and yet you guys fought the way you did. But can you speak to just the status of Bennett and Alex and Joe and your ability to take a lead despite being without those guys?
Yeah, Bennett, very freak accident yesterday in practice. Hurt himself pretty good and very, again, non-contact drill. Just hurt himself, so he couldn't make the trip. So Jamal replaced him as a starter. Alex Forsythe had spasms in his back and was not able to go. So we started Ryan Walk. Joe Moorhead this morning, non-COVID illness that happened early this morning. And so he was not available. Proud of our guys for overcoming that. And, we expect that of ourselves. We just found a way. That's all.
Yeah, Coach, Ryan Walk stepping in for Alex in that one, and he looked like he was pretty consistent. What does it say about him to be able to just hop in there and get the job done?
Tough guy, resilient guy, team player, very accountable and responsible, did really, really well, put us in the right identifications to be able to block things. And I think we're pretty good in protection holding up. I'm not sure we were pressure and sack-wise total, but all in all, just very proud of Ryan and really the way the entire team fought. A lot of guys in that locker room hurting. We all should be hurting. And we just didn't do enough.
Coach, the defense came out in the second half and had a lot of good stops right there. Were there any things that you saw at halftime or in the first half that you were able to make adjustments on?
The first thing is we were playing with more physicality up front. We got a pretty good beat on what they were trying to do in the run game. And, felt like we were able to take away some of their explosive pass plays and play some coverage. Got them in bad down and distance situations and were able to capitalize on it. Also put pressure on the quarterback and forced him into some tougher throws. So all in all, he just came out in the second half and responded really well.
Mario, your thoughts on how Anthony performed in what was at times a tough first half? I heard your remarks at halftime about the final play there, but obviously strung together some big completions in the second half to help you guys take the lead. So just your thoughts on how your quarterback performed today.
Yeah, no, I think that Anthony, he did a solid job, and he's always competing, he's always working, and he's doing a lot, and I'm proud of him. He's a tough guy. He's a competitor. He's resilient. He has the support, like any quarterback and any player. When you suffer defeat, you'd like to have plays back. I know he does. I know we would, but he's done some really, really good things.
Coach, I was going to ask your assessment of how Travis Dye played, and especially in the second half, having to handle the load there. And I know you said that sounds like CJ might be significant. How you feel about him kind of handling the load from here?
Yeah, Travis, like always, Travis shows up on game day, full speed, full throttle, tough, resilient, physical, good in protection, real good running the ball, good catching the ball, elusive, breaking tackles, tough guy, one of the best leaders on the team. Hurting like crazy right now, and is vowed to make sure that we get better as a football team, and we're counting on to do so.
Yeah, Coach, it seems like the passing game was a weakness. The big play to Micah Pittman, but if might be incorrect, I can't remember a tight end catching the ball. Were they taking away the tight ends? What was the problem there?
Well, we didn't connect on some. I think third play of the game, we tried to hit one, bounce right off, and had him in the seam. Had another one in the corner, tried to hit him as well. I had a couple on some of the sliders we did. We just didn't connect. They played some of the drop 8 stuff on third down, which takes away another one in your zone 2, makes it more difficult to read. Played some man coverage. I don't know if we got enough separation against man coverage at the tight end positions. All in all, they've always been part of the game plan. We didn't get the ball because we just didn't connect.
You always speak about how after games you try to have the forward spinning message. And when you're going into a bye week and you speak again of, I don't want to make a thing of injuries, but these are obviously significant and very significant players. And your players are real. They see obviously the playoff implications of this to the extremely big picture. What is your forward message for this team when they have 13 days until the next game and some key pieces could be down, and obviously the implications of the big picture about postseason?
Well, it's been one of those years where we just, from game one, we had a lot of guys go down. It's been really, really strange. We've really taken so much time investing into the way we practice, the way we take care of our bodies, and we've just been slammed with a ton of injuries. But they are real, and guys are going to have to step up. In terms of anything regarding anything outside of our next practice and our next game, it's never been relevant to the process. Do they know that big picture implications are always out there? They always will be out there. I don't think you try to overhype anything when you try to mix messages with what your team has to do. And right now, our team has to heal up, and our team has to get better. Our team has to make sure that times like this, when the noise surrounds the program, you got to make sure that you stick together, have each other's back, and go attack the processes that are going to put you back on track to be 1-0. To continue playing in a conference that has a lot of good football teams, a lot of good football players. That's the simplicity of our message, and that's the simplicity of our process.
Mario, what are your thoughts on the way KT played and how he responded physically to not having a play count today?
I'll have to watch film. It looked like he affected the quarterback and made some plays in the running game, chased some things down from behind and set some edges. I think our defensive front, especially in the second half, really played stout overall. So individual grades, I'll have to go and check on them and see and get back to you on that.
I guess following up on that, a couple of weeks out, but the difficulty of playing a really good Cal team without KT for the first half.
It's one of those years. It's one of those years. We haven't had one like this. But you're not going to find us coming out here and making excuses. Certainly no one's going to have a pity party, and we're not going to feel sorry for ourselves. Somebody else is going to have to play. We'll get that next person ready, and that'll be it.
Mario, you've been doing this a long time, and I know injuries are part of the game. Have you ever come across in your career where you've just been devastated with injuries like this, just overall, whether it be in practice or in game?
No, sir. Not like this.
Mario, with 0 turnovers this game after 5 interceptions last week, what were your overall thoughts on the defensive performance today?
Well, I think early on they had us on our heels a little bit, and then we really buckled down, and then there were successive series of 3s and outs, and not only 3s and out, but knocking them back and actually putting them in negative yardage situations. just really showed up strong, kept getting the ball back to the offense, just flipped the momentum completely. Punt return helped flip the momentum as well. And again, took the lead, tied the game, then took the lead. And then just, again, when you close out a game, you got to close out on both sides. And we're doing a real good job controlling the football and getting first downs, and two successive illegal procedures, put them behind the sticks, and then put our defense on the field again, which we didn't want to do. We kept their drives alive with some penalties. The ones down there at the goal line, I know our DBs were playing their tails off and they're getting pushed and shoved, but I guess they're the ones that got the flag. So anyways, proud of our effort. None of us are happy, content, or proud of our final result of our performance. And we're a driven bunch that doesn't BS ourselves. We got to go back to work, and we got to get better, and we got to get guys that are healthy to play and step up and play positions of guys that are not.
That's Coach Cristobal. Look, you can hear it in his voice. He's frustrated. He always owns it, though. Ducks know what they can improve on now, and they've got a bye week to do it before playing Cal next Friday at Autzen Stadium. When we come back, a look around Oregon athletics, volleyball, women's soccer, your Cafe on 2-minute drill, and Oregon women's golf is back in action. More coming up, and we're going to talk a little more football, too, on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
As my family continued to grow, I realized I'd have to replace my beloved Jeep with something that has, well, more seats. I'm Jason Hines, Country Financial Rep and father of 7. Whether you're upgrading from your sporty ride with no room for a car seat or finally replacing your well-loved beater that still has a cassette player, you'll want the right protection for your new car. Work with a Country Financial Rep like me and get the protection you need at a price you can afford. Learn more at TakeSimpleSteps.com or contact a local Country representative.
From the weight room to the classroom, on the field and off it, On Point proudly supports University of Oregon athletics because student athletes do so much more than bring us pride on game day. They bring our entire community together in Eugene and all across Oregon. So whether you're watching the game in the stadium, at home, or at your favorite local business, their success makes all of us stronger. On Point Community Credit Union. Join in. OnPointCU.com. Federally insured by NCUA. Equal housing opportunity.
You're listening to Duck Insider. Duck Insider on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Okay, forest animals, kids are coming to the forest, and it's up to us to make their visit a good one. Sparrow, have you practiced the most popular bird songs for the year?
Of course.
Catchy. I like it. River, how's the temperature?
It's a refreshing 52 degrees, man.
I love it. Turtle.
He's not here yet, man.
He's late every morning. Okay. Squirrel.
The forest has been preparing just for you. To learn more about cool things to do in the forest, visit discovertheforest.org. Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service and the Ad Council.
Tom has been a teacher for over 40 years. One day, I think one of the students had asked the question and he didn't remember the answer. And I also noticed that he was letting his class out earlier than they were supposed to let out. I was really starting to worry.
Levi and I talked about how it would change our lives, but he was there beside me.
When something feels different, it could be Alzheimer's. Now is the time to talk. Visit alz.org/ourstories to learn more. A message from the Alzheimer's Association and the Ad Council.
Back on Duck Insider, presented by On Point Community Credit Union. Joey Mack here with you in the Country Financial Studio. Oregon soccer head coach Graeme Abel going to join us coming up just a moment. Time for your Cafe 2-minute drill. What else is going on around Oregon athletics? Well, you know that Oregon football dropped to Stanford 31-24. The Ducks, though, still a top 10 team in the AP poll and a bye week now, and we'll hear from Coach Cristobal later on in the week. And then the Ducks will be back in action against Cal next Friday, the evening game under the lights. The Ducks hosting the Golden Bears at Autzen Stadium. Before we look ahead, how about Oregon volleyball this past weekend? The Ducks beat Colorado in a really nice performance on Friday, but then lost in 4 to Utah yesterday. We'll talk with Matt Ulmer on the show coming up tomorrow. And then women's soccer beat Cal, but lost to Stanford on the trip to the Bay Area. Not bad, though, huh? As the Ducks came into Saturday on an unbeaten streak of 12 games dating back to the spring. Now they'll look to regroup before returning home, play 6 of their final 8 games in the state of Oregon, and the Ducks are sitting top 40 in the RPI right now. Not bad, huh? And elsewhere for Oregon women's golf, they are in action actually in the Windy City Classic, all the way out in Chicago, Illinois for Oregon women's golf. That's after in their first tournament here of the fall, they won it. And we're going to talk with Derek Radley on the show coming up later this week. And Oregon men's golf is teeing off in the Colonial Invitational in Fort Worth. Good luck to both Derek Radley squads and Casey Martin squads this upcoming week. And then, actually, this is fun, guys. Women's tennis is back in action. This weekend, the Husky Invite up in Seattle. Women's tennis gets things rolling again. That's your Cafe Yum 2-minute drill. Cafe Yum restaurants throughout Oregon and Washington. Menus at cafeyum.com. All right, when we come back, it's time to learn about coffee. Graeme Abel, Oregon soccer head coach, is here. Back after this on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
After 2 years of construction, my wife and I finally moved into our dream home. So when a bathtub fixture broke, causing major water damage, I was glad we had the home insurance protection we needed. How do you know your home is protected? Talk to a Country Financial rep like me, Nick Simon. We can help you understand your options and select coverages to meet your needs. Then if something happens to your home, you won't have any surprises. Need the right coverage for your home but not sure where to start? Visit TakeSimpleSteps.com or contact a local Country representative.
Is that the sound of an ooey gooey cheesy crunchy slice of P-I-Z-Z-A? Obviously, but as good as that sounds, we think it can get even better. Oh yeah, that's the sound of a freshly opened fizz-filled Pepsi. The only thing that can take this flavor medley of crunchy dough, mouth-watering cheese, and savory sauce to the next level. How about another bite? Pepsi and pizza sound like a match made in heaven and taste even better. Pizza, better with Pepsi. That's what I like.
This is Duck Insider, presented by On Point Community Credit Union on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Okay, man, this is your time. Maybe you didn't choose this, but you're here now. You're gonna go out there and be an all-star caregiver. Cook, clean, be there emotionally and physically. You gotta dig deeper. Drive them to physical therapy, doctor's appointments, because that's what caregivers do. Don't give up. Show the world that you're tougher than tough. Caregiving is tougher than tough. Find the care guides you need at aarp.org/caregiving. Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
To some, the sound of a baby babbling doesn't mean much, but that's not true. They're testing out vowels and consonants and trying different sounds. And by 12 months, their babbling is beginning to take on meaning, especially if there's no babbling at all. Little to no babbling by 12 months or later is just one of the possible signs of autism in children. Learn more at autismspeaks.org. Brought to you by Autism Speaks and the Ad Council.
We're back in the Country Financial Studio. It's Duck Insider, presented by On Point Community Credit Union. Joey Mack here with you, and Graeme Abel, Oregon soccer head coach, is here. He's heavily caffeinated, as always, and, you're never going to live that one down. You know that, right?
That's okay.
Yeah, last week we learned a lot about Coach Abel and his love of coffee, so... I think there's an endorsement from Dutch Bros coming for you soon.
I'll just embrace it. So,
as you should.
In the new age of NIL for coaches as
That's
well.
right. That's right.
Hey, I'm not sure my picture on a coffee mug will sell anymore, so I might drive business down.
I always say, I always joke, face for radio, but now it's like face for Facebook, face for streaming, whatever. Yeah. Nobody looks good.
I'm more of a hand and feet model.
Are you really? Like you've got beautiful hands and feet?
No, I put gloves on. But
oh, sure.
Yeah.
Sure. And then so beautiful cleats.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, good shoes.
Yeah, that makes sense. So.
You got to working at this place with all the Nike shoes.
Well, that's
what
true.
I get told. So
that's the truth. Well, you heard. I was just recapping your guys' weekend. Let's start with the Cal game. We'll kind of go through it in chronological order. But let's actually start with the trip down there. Mechanical issues?
Mechanical issues. Yeah, it was. So we get to the airport and it's the old 30-minute delay, 50-minute delay, hour delay. And at that point, once it starts going past an hour, you're like, okay, we've got issues here. So Lisa Peterson came through. She is the travel guru, and she was down at the ran down to the check-in desk and got as many of us as she could on the flight. And then we got another group that were coming out the next morning, but then they got delayed again because they couldn't start the plane. So it was so they arrived into the bay around 11 a.m. and so it was wasn't the best of starts to the trip.
Hey, so in all seriousness, I mean, I think there's so many things that go on. You know, we've talked about this a lot. Like, that's part of what I like to do on this show is we're not just going to talk about what we see on the field, because there's so many things that go on around here that no one sees, right? So you had to deal with some adversity there. As a head coach, what's going through your mind when you start? At what point are you like, you know what, we're just going to rent cars and drive? Like, I kind of joke about that.
Yeah.
But how do you process all that as a
So,
coach?
you know, when I was an assistant for 10 years, and I did team travel all the time,
Mm-hmm.
and so that was back before we had operations people and things like that. So one of the things I discovered was, as an as an assistant that dealt with that piece, you problem solve when something happens. You've got 5 responses in your head right away how to figure it out. And was it rent minivans? Can we get a charter bus? Do we go in the morning? Do we drive to Portland? Do we get a flight to Seattle and then fly in? So all these things go through your head. But to be honest with you, before I even, you know, as a staff, we got it figured out. Lisa had already figured it out herself and got us. And so I'm like, okay. So she wears I think she has about 5,000 hats. And
yeah. So those of you, Lisa Peterson is the senior women's administrator, deputy athletic director for the Ducks. She is one of the most on top of it and at times wired people that I have ever encountered. She also has, maybe she talked to you about this, she is a terrible packer.
She is. You know, she went from a small suitcase to a large suitcase. And I just said to her, that's going to hit my budget with an extra $25 on top of that right there. So it's yes, I've discovered that piece of.
That's actually really funny. Well, so Lisa goes up and you guys figure out a way, but the team's split, but you all get down there in time for the game.
Yeah, we all got down there, and I think that the piece of it is in front of our team is to remain as relaxed as possible. And hey, we'll figure it out. We'll get down there and. A little bit of adversity to start it, but it never affected our team, which is awesome. I mean, it shows you how far we've come as a group, that it just didn't affect us.
Adversity is usually a training ground, isn't it? And so you guys have gone through that. So a 2-0 win against Cal, keys to victory. What went well in that matchup with the Golden Bears?
Probably one of our best performances of the season, both on the attacking side of the ball, defending side of the ball. Set pieces, scored 2 goals off of set pieces. You know, so we moved the ball really well, played out of tight areas really well, and then, you know, once we were up 2-0, we were able to manage the game, and even though, you know, they spent time in our defending third, we really managed it really well, and it was a really, really good and a complete performance.
So, you know, I feel like every time you say that there's something positive, it's because you're scoring on set pieces.
Yeah, I mean, it's a huge part of the game. I mean, you look at the Stanford game yesterday, we conceded the first goal off of a set piece, and we always talk, you're either going to win or you're going to lose a game on a set piece. And if you look back to last season, the USC game, we lost on a set piece. You know, the Washington game, we lost on a set piece. We conceded against Washington State on a set piece. So it's a huge difference, especially in our conference where the games are so tight, and you get time to set things up. America's a set-piece country, right? Because all your sports are set pieces. Soccer's one of the few sports that's a fluid sport. Football, you reset it for a play.
Right.
Basketball, you call a timeout, you set up a play. Baseball, you call in plays. Softball, I'm sure you call in plays. So it's something that we really try to embrace with our team, is being on the defending side very, very hard to beat on set pieces, but being very good on the execution side, on the attacking side of the ball.
That's really interesting because it's one of the few opportunities that. And really, I guess it's the only opportunity that you have as a coach to communicate.
Set something up. And so we have 4 or 5 different things that we have that are our standard kind of set pieces, and then we'll always throw 2 or 3 things into a game. And I won't throw the order out there in case our opponents are watching.
Yeah, please don't.
But, you know, we have those things, and our kids do an incredible job of embracing it because it's not easy.
Are you a coach that, and I've had this conversation with other soccer coaches before, like, are you a coach that once the game is going on, like, you can only make limited adjustments and substitutions? Are you one that's kind of like, well, Hayes in the barn, go get it? Or what's your approach to that?
I think you can affect it. How much you can affect it is because it is fluid. You know, there's things you can do. I won't go into any more details than that.
Sure.
But, you've obviously got half time, and you know, so it's hard to affect it. You know, in terms of true adjustments, you try to get instructions on with substitutes when you make changes, and we have some signals we can throw out there, and there's some different things that we can change shapes. And if we're up a goal, down a goal, if we want to change from a pressing shape to a low block. We have some things we can do with regards to that. But actually changing the game, it's hard.
Really interesting. Graeme Abel, Oregon soccer head coach, joining us. All right, hard-fought game against Stanford. Walk us through what you saw. First loss of the season, which we're talking about the first loss, and we're in October, so that's a positive.
It is.
I know you wish you could have gotten that one.
It is. I think walking directly off of the game, you're like, okay, you're looking at the areas where we didn't think we executed, and then you go back and you watch the video again, and there's certain teams you play in. Stanford are one of them where they're gonna hit 20+ shots on you. What's gonna hurt you and what doesn't hurt you are the key pieces to look at. I mean, I think I said to you earlier, it's the equivalent to keep throwing up 50-yard passes in football every single time. There's high probability and low probability plays, and so. When I look back, again, we conceded off a set piece, and then we conceded off of a defending third cross to the back post. They're ones that, within what we do as our team, we feel as though we shouldn't concede in those moments. So we'll look back and we'll take those as learning moments and move forward from there. We didn't do a good job of playing out of pressure the way we did against Cal. And so that certainly hurt us as well. We probably didn't get enough pressure to their centre backs. When we did, we were able to affect the game. That's how we scored the goal. We were able to get pressure and win the ball higher up the field. And when we did do that, we were, like I said, we were able to affect the game, but we didn't do that enough. And so we'll take a look at the tape. We'll take the positives out of it, because there were some positives. And then we'll take the learning moments out of it, make sure we correct them, look at them, and then we all eyes are on Arizona now.
You guys also had to deal with adversity on the field with getting dinged up. Tri Cortez got a little bit dinged up, so you had to go to a substitute earlier than you probably wanted to, right?
Yeah, I mean, Megan Rooker came in and did great, and so she's someone who's, can play both on the right side and the left side, so it didn't affect us too much, which was great. Meg does a great job in there, so we're able to make that switch early on, and like I said, I mean, just some of the execution pieces of the team we need to look at and fix some of those pieces.
You're sitting at 6-1-4, so the one in there, it's the first time that we've talked about that.
Yeah.
And it took 11 matches this year, so that's a good thing. So now that you have the loss, how'd the team respond, Coach? I mean, what was the response? Is it what you wanted the team to respond like?
It's no different whether we win or we lose a game. We have certain things in place that we do post-game. We did the same thing. As coaches, we looked at the tape. That's the exact same thing. And in every, we have this, we said this to the team right after the game, we focus on progression and not perfection. And that whether we win or we lose the game, we always have to progress and move forward. And so we follow the same steps. We look at if we win a game 5-0, there's always areas where we can move forward in them. We'd be naive to think otherwise. Sure. We lose a game 2-1 on the road at Stanford. Well, of course, there's areas we need to move forward on, but there's also areas that we're very good as well. So we follow the same processes no matter what.
I feel like a lot of coaches, and you talk a lot about like the process sort of a thing. Like that's what you're talking about, right? Like that's the process.
Yeah, it's your own individual rhythm, your own individual journey as a team, and we stick to that piece and we don't deviate from that piece, because where we're at right now, we're in a pretty good place as a team right now in terms of the standings and in terms of our record and RPI and things like that. Well, what we do has got us to that point, so why would we change? We just got to keep, again, the progression piece week to week to week.
Next up, you guys are back at home. Good to be at home on Thursday, 7 o'clock at Pape Field, Arizona comes to town.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about the Wildcats.
Always athletic, new coach that has got in, changing the style up a little bit more, trying to play a little bit more in terms of whether you call it a possession style or whatever it may be. They were a little bit more direct under the previous coach that moved on to Florida, but still really successful with that. And they've got some of those players still there, so they have, obviously still have a winning mentality in terms of that piece. So it's going to be a tough weekend. Arizona, new coach, Arizona State have been doing well as well. So again, another tough weekend in the Pac-12.
Yeah, well, just another ho-hum weekend in the Pac-12. That's right. 7 o'clock on Thursday, Arizona in town for Oregon women's soccer. It's on Pac-12 Network, also on KWVA, the student radio station, 88.1 FM. And then on Sunday at noon, you guys welcome Arizona State to town. Also, same broadcast plan, Pac-12 Network and KWVA. Quick look ahead to ASU, if I could, even though all focus is on Arizona.
Yeah, a lot of international players. Graeme Winkworth there has done a really good job of resetting that program over the past 4 or 5 years, and they'll play. They've got good players up top and solid across the back lines. So, yeah, again, another tough game.
Yeah. You love that, though, don't you?
Hey, listen, we love the challenge as coaches. We love the challenge of setting our student athletes up for success and watching them execute, so we'll do no different.
And you didn't have any mechanical issues on the way home?
We didn't. We actually, the plane we had coming into Eugene was huge, and it had us on it, it had volleyball on it. So I don't know if it was just a ton of people coming back from Palo Alto. I think we were 70% of the crowd down there. So
well, yeah, that's probably about right. I always say, like, whenever it's an Oregon event in the Bay Area, it tends to be about 50-50.
You know, the game we just played, you know, we had a ton of Oregon fans there. I mean, I look over and I'll see it's yellow and green, which is great. So a lot of Go Ducks being shouted at me when I was leaving. So
that's a good thing.
It's awesome. It's
right?
awesome. I mean, you just realize how much of a following we've got.
Well,
all
and
over
shoot,
the
for
place.
you, that's still fresh. There weren't a lot of fans. You know, like we didn't have fans for your first couple of
seriously.
for your first season here.
No, a lot of fun.
Man, that's pretty cool. So was that like a first time you heard that where you kind of like, oh yeah,
well, you're
this is great.
You're trying to figure out if it's someone's parent because the problem is some of the parents I've met for the first time and they were wearing face coverings.
Right.
So you look at them going, I don't know who that is. And then you figure out it's not a parent. So, yeah.
So like the idea of, you know, like the flashcards, that doesn't really help you.
No,
right?
I mean, what about football coaches do? They stick like a piece of tape on someone's helmet and stuff.
On the helmet.
I need to start doing that.
Yeah. Okay. I could see that. So, public service announcement for all of our Oregon soccer parents. Don't take it personally. We're just going to put a piece of tape across your forehead that says your name.
Yeah, perfect.
You're on. If anybody actually does that, please send me a picture because we will air it on the show. We will talk about it, and we will love it forever because that would be truly amazing.
I think you might get a few.
That's going to be fun. He's Graeme Abel, Oregon soccer head coach. So practice this week and then back at it, huh?
Yeah, back to the regular rhythm. You know, we off day today, practice tomorrow, match day -2, match day -1 on Wednesday, and then back at it on Thursday.
I'm going to start using those exact words, match day -2, match day -1, and then match day. Graeme Abel, Oregon soccer head coach. Thank you for the time.
Appreciate it.
Always appreciate it. And when we come back, we'll talk a little bit about the schedule for the week. Football bye week, as you just heard, a whole lot going on around Oregon athletics. We're back after this on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Dear past, present, and future football watchers, football is back! So consider this your official excuse for always putting football watching first, courtesy of Pepsi. That haircut appointment? Seeing the in-laws for the first time in ages?
It's been so long!
Nope, sorry Susan, not if it's on Sunday. Long story short, after the year we've all had, we think you could use a little football watching. So crack open a Pepsi and cheer your football watching face off. With love, Pepsi. Made for football watching. That's what I like.
From the weight room to the classroom, on the field and off it, On Point proudly supports University of Oregon athletics because student athletes do so much more than bring us pride on game day. They bring our entire community together in Eugene and all across Oregon. So whether you're watching the game in the stadium, at home, or at your favorite local business, their success makes all of us stronger. On Point Community Credit Union. Join in. OnPointCU.com. Federally insured by NCUA. Equal housing opportunity.
More Duck Insider coming up on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
It's 4 a.m., Monday, and you're literally sucking baby snot through a tube because she's congested. Man, that's love. And if you love her that much, love her enough to make sure she's buckled in the right car seat. To make sure your child's in the right seat for their age and size, visit nhtsa.gov/the right seat. Show them you love them. Keep them safe. Visit nhtsa.gov/the right seat. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
America, your children have an amazing superpower. They can help save lives by not having play dates. That's right. By replacing get-togethers with virtual play dates and video chats, they can help slow the evil spread of germs. And if your superheroes do go outside, make sure they continue their superhero wing by staying 6 feet away from others to protect everyone in America land. Find out more at coronavirus.gov. A message from the CDC and the Ad Council.
Scott, can you do me a favor? Once you get to the proper camera feeds here, and you know, Scott has multiple jobs to do here. The Duck just sent out a tweet that I think describes just everything going on right now. I'd really love if you could bring in our tweet from our friend at the Oregon Duck. He wrote a book, by the way. You can still buy it at the Duck Store website. Pretty great stuff. Graeme Abel was awesome, too. Oregon soccer head coach. I always love catching up with him. So Oregon football on a bye. Oregon soccer is at home. Oregon volleyball is at home. And Oregon softball is back at home this weekend. That's right, everybody. Fall ball begins for Oregon softball with a noon first pitch at the Jane against Oregon Tech on Sunday. We're going to talk with Missy Lombardi, Oregon softball head coach, on the show later on this week. We're also going to check in with the other Diamond Sport coach in Mark Wazakowski because, well, they're in their fall practice schedule already. That's just one of the many things that are on the horizon. Okay, so here is the situation if you're live with us in the 1 o'clock hour. Facebook, Instagram, all the Facebook-owned stuff apparently is still down. Maybe everybody just takes a nice break from social media. That'd be good. Yeah. I think we could probably all use that. Well, the Duck appropriately summed up what the internet is right now, and it's the Duck just with flames behind him if you are listening on the radio. And I just felt like that was pretty important. Also, I just want to point out that his name in his Twitter handle is still the capital THE and then lowercase O, Oregon, lowercase D, Duck.
Good stuff from the Duck today.
You know, the Duck, leave it to the Duck to really summarize the internet and just how everything is right now. Maybe this is a sign that everybody needs to be a little better on social media, huh? Unplug. That might be nice. Yeah, apparently they're going and doing a hard reset of Facebook's servers and data centers. Isn't that like rule number 1? Just unplug it and restart. I'm no IT guy. That's what I do. Tends to work. Anyway, there's going to be lots of people making fun of things on Twitter, on Reddit, on all of the competing social media platforms. And maybe this is a great time to tell you that our director of social media, Josh Phillips, is going to be on the show tomorrow. So Josh Phillips, the assistant athletic director of basically just any, I call him the assistant AD of cool content, like anything that is, that produced at Go Ducks stuff, that all comes from Josh. So we're going to have him on the show tomorrow, and I think there's no better day to do that than the day that Facebook goes, I think that's great. We're going to have Josh Phillips on the show tomorrow, also Oregon volleyball head coach Matt Ulmer. Later in the week, we'll hear from Coach Cristobal, talk with Missy Lombardi, Derek Radley, Mark Wazakowski, Rob Mosley, Jerry, and Jorgie will be back with us. It's a bye week, but we still got Duck Insider going every day. See you tomorrow.
When might you be buzzed? When you suddenly love everything.
You guys, I love this song. I love these nachos. I love our kickball league. Ugh! I love this guy. What's your name? You know what I'd love? A ride when it's time to head out.
If you see a buzzed warning sign, call for a ride when it's time to go home. Buzz driving is drunk driving. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.